What's going on, guys? Unknown Player here, and today I've got for you guys my final video before Rise Vine launches, and this is a really crazy one. We've got so much new info to talk about with the expansion just around the corner, and look out for a bunch more videos from me the second the DLC goes live. I've got some really cool stuff to show you guys you definitely don't want to miss. So it turns out that most of the gear in Rise of Iron is actually live right now in Destiny's database. Bungie put out 2 hotfixes earlier on, which basically activated Rise Vine, and most of the new stuff is now visible in the game database. So I'm not going to be going over everything and spoiling all the new and cool stuff in the expansion. There is still a lot of cool stuff in Grimoire that I'm not going to be talking about. I'm just going to be going over some of the really light things and things we've seen already. There are some things we've been asking for since Destiny's launch, which is really awesome to see. They're returning Year 1 weapons, raid gear, exotics, which we've already touched on, and a bunch of new cool stuff in the database. But like I said, I'm not going to be going over absolutely everything. There is some cool stuff still that you should discover for yourself in-game. But firstly, let's talk about the class items. So as you might have previously heard, every single class item that was ever in Destiny Year 1 or 2 is actually making a return in Year 3, and there'll be a Year 3 Legendary version of it. Now, I didn't actually fully realise what this meant, but it actually turns out in the database, they have the 3 original class items, the white common ones, that you spawn with when you first start the game, and those are returning as Year 3 Legendaries that are fully infusable. So the ones I'm talking about are the Makeshift Scarf for the Hunter, the Mark of the Risen for the Titan, and the Potential Bond for the Warlock. These 3 you can see on screen right here. Some of you might still have the Makeshift Scarf, I know I certainly do, and it's basically like a bandana around your neck. But this is now a legendary item in Year 3. It's fully infusible. You can be max light level with this scarf, which is so cool. And I'm also really excited for the Mark of the Risen for the Titan, because it basically looks like you're not wearing a mark. It's almost like a belt, like it's kind of like strap that goes around your waist. So it's basically like not wearing a mark at all. The Potential Bond for the Warlock isn't really anything to be excited about. It's literally just a plain white bond. If you want that, you can have that at max light level. But the ability for the Titan and the Hunter to be able to basically have no cloak or no mark is really cool, and I'm so glad they've done this. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is the raid gear. So of course Bungie have shown off the raid gear quite a lot this time around. It's pretty much no secret to us at all. It's in like every single trailer or promotional image. We've seen so much of the raid gear already, but now we can actually see the full names of everything and the perks and what they do. So you can see all of the sets on screen right now. This is the normal set, and shout out to Arix for actually making this image of them all collected together. But this is the normal gear set, and you can all see the hard mode gear called Spliced. It's similar to how the King's Fall hard mode gear is called Harrowed. This Wrath of Machine hard mode gear is actually called Spliced, which I guess is a fitting name. So the Titan gear is called Cosmoclass, the Hunter is called Nanomania, and the Warlock gear is called Red Miasma. So the perk for the helmets are called Elixir Immunity, and that means on orb pickup you take less damage from Fallen for a short amount of time. The gauntlets all allow you to have increased heavy ammo drops from fallen enemies, which sounds really cool. Definitely a great perk right there. So the perks on the chest plate and also the boots of these raid gear are actually slight spoilers, so they're very tiny, not a big deal, but if you don't know anything at all about some of the things you can do in the raid, you should probably mute the video for about 20 seconds. But the chest plate perk gives you the ability to take half damage carrying the Sivir charge, and also the boots give you the speed boost when carrying a Scorch, Null or Shot Cannon, so of course that implies that those 3 are going to be in the raid as well. And the class item doesn't have any interesting perk, but there you go, those are the perks known for the raid gear sets. Now there are 2 other very interesting things about the raid gear. The first thing is that they appear to have a node called New Sivir Directive, and this changes the stats and upgrades available on Sivir based armor, so maybe something like rerolling, maybe you can change intellect and discipline, and also this actual raid gear is upgraded using Sivir key fragments. It's basically the return of Radiant and Ascendant materials. You need to find these Sivir key fragments, which are probably going to be in raid chests, and these are going to allow you to upgrade your gear, which I really like. I thought the system was much better in Year 1 where you had to do the raid and farm it for these materials and try and upgrade your gear. So now you have to do that again. Instead of just upgrading it purely with XP, you have to go and find Sivir key fragments to upgrade your raid gear. So something else you might have heard rumors about recently is this thing right here, which appears to be a new exotic sword, a solar one at that, which is called the Young Wolf's Howl. So this actually has a perk which releases a fiery solar eruption that weakens enemies and causes damage over time. So sounds like Melting Point plus Dragon's Breath Flames. That's really cool as well, a new exotic sword. On top of that, there are also a bunch of Year 1 weapons that are returning similar to the April update, and there's one for each category. So there's the Hopscotch Pilgrim, the Cryptic Dragon, the Hexcaster, the Ill Will, the 2020 AMR-7, the Matador Shotgun, the 77 Wizard, Steel Oracle, and Undying Deluge. So if you recognize any of those names, those are Year 1 weapons that I'm sure might excite you. So on top of that, there are a bunch of hidden exotics as well. The Solar and Void Thunderlords, the Microphone Rocket Launcher, and that Sivir Pulse Rifle we've seen quite a lot of. those are not in the database. Those are hidden in the same way that Touch of Malice, Sleepy Simulant, and No Time to Explain were for the Taken King. So no doubt there are a bunch more hidden stuff as well. Bungie clearly has the ability again to hide stuff from us. So there are 4 exotic weapons we know of that are in the database but we can't exactly see. So on top of that, there are 2 cool armor sets which are actually returning from Vanilla of Destiny. The first one is the original Iron Banner set, which is really cool to see. That's now going to be in Year 3 and fully infusible. And also the first set of Queen's Wrath armor, that's also in there as well. So that could possibly indicate the Queen's Wrath is returning, and maybe that's what they're doing with that secret area in the back of the tower. Or it could just be obtainable from Petra. Either way, that armor is actually in the game now. Also, all the exotics we can expect, so the Yalahorn, the Iron One as well, the Nemesis Star, Thorn Trespasser, the Young Wolf's Howl, which I mentioned, and finally the Kvostov. All of those exotic armor pieces, the 7 ones that I've mentioned before, those are also in the game, so expect those to make a return. And there's also, of course, the Trials gear. It turns out the normal sets are the blue weapons we've seen before, and the Adept versions are fully gold, just as I had hoped. You got the normal versions, which you can see right here, which are blue, and then you got a gold version, which is from the Lighthouse chest. So really cool to see that going flawless will get you these sweet looking gold weapons. It appears that all of these Adept guns are going to have the intrinsic perk of Snapshot coming for free, similar to how Last Resort was that perk in Year 2 weapons. Now you're getting Snapshot on all these gold Adept weapons. So that is literally just scratching the surface of some of the cool stuff that is in the database for Rise of Iron. Like I said, there's so much more stuff that I didn't talk about. There's Grimoire, there's consumables, there's quest items, there's so much more that I haven't touched on. And if you do want to go and see everything, the full list of all the new things you can see in the database, I'll put a link in the description to Destiny Tracker, and they've got a really good list of absolutely everything you want to see. But again, do bear in mind that is only the stuff that Bungie wants us to see. There are a lot of hidden exotics and hidden items that we don't know yet. There is still quite a lot of stuff still to be discovered, and I'm sure we're going to find out in the weeks to come after Rise of Iron through quests, just like the Touch of Malice and the Sleeper Simulant. There's going to be a lot more stuff to discover, but that link to the database will be in the description. But I hope you guys did enjoy this video. As always, a like rating would be much appreciated, and your support in the videos recently has been incredible, so I really do appreciate it, and absolutely cannot wait to hop into Rise of Iron and bring you guys some awesome content for it. Like I said, stay tuned the second the DLC launches. Make sure you come back to the channel. I've got a ton of awesome videos that you definitely want to watch. But with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys when Rise of Iron launches.